Have you ever been on the verge of getting everything you've ever wanted? The promotion, the relationship, the creative breakthrough, only to do something that makes it all fall apart? Have you ever found yourself picking a fight, missing a deadline, or suddenly losing all motivation right at the finish line? You work tirelessly to build your life, stone by stone, only to kick out the foundation yourself, just as you're about to place the final piece. You tell yourself it was bad luck, that you weren't ready, that the timing was off. But what if that's a lie? A lie you tell yourself to avoid a much more terrifying truth. What if the force holding you back isn't out there in the world, but inside your own mind? You think you want success. You chase it, you work for it, you dream about it. But when it finally shows up at your door, ready to walk in, you're paralyzed. Not by the fear of failure, that's a familiar, almost comfortable pain. You are terrified by the blinding light of your own success. Carl Jung, one of the greatest explorers of the human mind, would say this terror isn't a flaw. It's a message, a desperate, flashing red light from a part of you that you've ignored for your entire life. The truth is, you aren't afraid of success. You are afraid of who you will have to become to handle it. You are terrified that in gaining everything you think you want, you will lose who you really are. Jung made it brutally clear. Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life, and you will call it fate. That pattern of almost wins and last-minute failures isn't your fate. It's a choice. A choice being made for you by a part of you that remains in the dark. And as long as it's in the dark, it will keep saving you from a success it believes will destroy your soul. So let's turn on the lights. Let's go down into the basement of your psyche and finally meet the saboteur. And when you see them, you're going to find that they have your face. To understand this fear, you have to understand the silent war raging inside of you. It's not a war you can see, but you feel its effects every day. It's a battle between two powerful forces, your ego and what Jung called the self. Your ego is the person you think you are. It's the voice in your head that makes the to-do lists, that obsesses over your job title, that checks your follower count. The ego is the general of your conscious mind, and its entire mission is to win the game of life as society defines it. It craves applause, recognition, status, and control. It wants the corner office, the perfect family photo, the admiration of others. It builds its identity out of external things. But the self is something else entirely. The self is something much bigger, older, and wilder. The self is the totality of who you are. It's not just your conscious mind. It's the vast, unexplored ocean of your unconscious. The self is your soul, your essence, the blueprint of the person you were born to be before the world told you who you should be. And the self has only one goal, and it is not winning, it is becoming whole. This sacred journey to wholeness is what Jung called individuation. And here's where the war begins. Your ego screams for more success, but your self whispers for more truth. The ego wants to climb the ladder, even if the ladder is leaning against the wrong wall. The self wants you to find the right wall first. Self-sabotage is the explosion that happens when your ego's version of success becomes a direct threat to your self's sacred mission. That big promotion? Your ego wants it badly. But your unconscious knows it requires you to betray your values, to work 80-hour weeks and abandon your health, to become a person your soul knows is a fraud. That perfect relationship you're about to commit to? Your ego loves the idea of it, the status of it. But your self knows it demands a level of honesty and vulnerability that your ego, with all its armor, isn't ready for. Your unconscious, the loyal soldier of the self, sees this impending spiritual disaster. It sees that your ego's success will be a kind of death, and so it acts. It floods you with a sudden, inexplicable wave of anxiety. It makes you physically sick. It whispers that you should run, that this isn't right. It trips you at the finish line, not to hurt you, but to save you. It's a desperate rescue mission from a part of you that knows better. You're left in the wreckage, ashamed, calling it failure, when it was actually an intervention from your own soul. The only way forward is to stop fighting the saboteur and start listening to its warning. Because the fear of success is really the fear of a hollow victory, a success that would cost you yourself. Now we have to go deeper into the place where you keep your secrets, even from yourself. We have to talk about your shadow. The shadow, for Jung, is the dark basement of your personality. It's the bag you've been carrying your whole life, filled with every part of yourself you decided was shameful, weak, or unacceptable. It's where you locked away your rage after you were told to be nice. It's where you hid your vulnerability after you were told to be strong. It's your envy, your laziness, your greed, your secret feelings of being a fraud. It's everything you are, but have promised the world you will never be. We all have a shadow, and we spend most of our energy running from it, pretending it doesn't exist. But Jung warned, one does not become enlightened by imagining figures of light, but by making the darkness conscious. Because what you don't own, owns you. Success is a giant, unforgiving spotlight, and when it hits you, it doesn't just light up your best features. It casts a long, dark shadow behind you, and all the things you've hidden come crawling out. This is the first terror of success, the fear that you will be exposed. Deep in your shadow is the voice that whispers, "You're an imposter. You just got lucky. You don't deserve this." As long as you stay small and in the background, you can ignore that voice. But the moment success puts you on stage, the voice becomes a deafening roar. Every compliment feels like sarcasm. The applause sounds like a countdown to the moment everyone finds out the truth. So you destroy your success to kill the spotlight. You run back to the safety and comfort of the dark, where the fraud can stay hidden. The second terror is the fear of losing control to the chaos within. Success demands consistency, discipline, and ever-increasing responsibility. But your shadow holds the part of you that wants the opposite. It holds your inner rebel, the part that wants chaos, that craves freedom, that wants to burn it all down and live in a van by the river. When you're on the brink of a new level of success, this repressed part of you panics. It doesn't want the pressure of a mortgage, the expectations of a team, the demands of a high-profile career. It sees your success not as a prize, but as a beautifully decorated prison. And so it hijacks your life. It is the force that makes you oversleep on the most important day. It's the voice that convinces you to get drunk the night before a huge presentation. It engineers your failure to protect its own wild, untamed freedom. And the third terror is the most primal of all, the fear of being alone. Your life right now, your friends, your family, your community, they are all calibrated to the person you are today. Success threatens to change all of that. It threatens to make you outgrow your own life. Your shadow carries the ancient, hardwired fear of being cast out of the tribe, because for our ancestors, being alone meant death. If you succeed, will your friends who are still struggling still get you? Will your family resent your new life? Will you have to leave behind the world you know for a new one, where you feel like a stranger? This fear is so powerful that people will literally choose failure over it. They sabotage their own rise to stay one of them. They dim their own light so they don't outshine the people they love. They choose to fail just to maintain a sense of belonging. Your shadow would rather you starve in the familiar company of others than feast alone in a palace of your own making. But it's not just the parts of you that you hide. It's also the mask you show to the world, the mask Jung called the persona. The persona is your public identity. It's the carefully curated version of you, the good employee, the humble artist, the strong friend, the intellectual, the peacemaker. It's how you get society to accept you and love you. The problem isn't having a mask. We all need one to function. The problem is when the mask fuses to your face, when you forget you're even wearing it. This is when you become a prisoner of your own performance. And this is where the fear of success gets its real power. Because success is an earthquake that shatters your mask. Maybe your mask is the struggling artist. You get sympathy. You get respect for your integrity and your purity. People admire your dedication. But what happens when you're offered $1 million contract? To accept it, the struggling artist persona has to die. And since you think the mask is you, it feels like you are dying. So you turn down the deal. You make something you know will fail. You pick a fight with the agent. You sabotage the success to save the mask, your very identity. Or maybe your mask is the helper, the one who always says yes, who puts everyone else first, whose entire value comes from being needed. What happens when your own business finally takes off and demands your full attention? What happens when your own success demands that you say no, that you set boundaries, that you put yourself first? It's a direct attack on your identity as the savior. The guilt is so overwhelming that you let your own dreams die just so you can keep playing the role. You protect the mask because you're terrified of what's underneath. You're terrified that if you become too successful, too powerful, too real, the world will see the real you and turn away. So you choose the safety of the character you play over the terrifying freedom of who you really are. So what's the way out of this prison you've built for yourself? How do you stop being your own worst enemy? The answer isn't to fight harder or to have more willpower. That's an ego-based solution, and it will only lead to more conflict. For Jung, the answer is the courageous, often painful, lifelong journey of individuation. It is the process of becoming whole. It's about consciously reaching into the darkness and bringing together all the broken, warring pieces of yourself. Your ambitious ego, your terrified shadow, your fragile persona, into one integrated, authentic self. When you do this, the goal is no longer to be successful. The goal is to be yourself. And real, sustainable success becomes a natural side effect of your wholeness, not a threat that tears you apart. The journey starts with what Jung called shadow work. You have to turn around and face the saboteur. You have to sit down with it and ask the hard questions. What part of me is terrified of getting what I want? What does it really think will happen? Get a journal and give your darkness a voice. Let it speak, uncensored. I'm afraid they'll hate me. I'm afraid I'll be alone. I'm afraid they'll find out I'm a fraud. I'm afraid I can't handle the pressure and I'll lose everything. As Jung said, what you resist persists. When you drag these fears into the light of your consciousness, they start to lose their demonic power over you. You can look at the fear of being alone and say, I hear you. I understand why you're scared. But we will find our way. You stop being a puppet of your fear and become its compassionate witness. At the same time, you have to gently, patiently start peeling off the mask. You have to find an identity that doesn't depend on what other people think. Ask yourself, who am I if I lose my job? Who am I without the applause? Who am I when nobody is watching? This is a terrifying question because it forces you to face the void, but it's only in that empty space that your true self finally has room to breathe. Practice being you, outside of your rules. If you're always the leader, go to a class where you're a total beginner. If you're always the quiet one, force yourself to speak up in a low-stakes meeting. These small acts of rebellion against your own performance prove that your identity is not some fragile statue that success will shatter. It's a living, breathing, evolving thing. When you do this work, your whole perspective on self-sabotage flips. It is no longer your enemy. It becomes your most trusted guide. That sudden wave of procrastination isn't a moral flaw. It's a signal from your soul that a part of you is afraid and needs attention. That anxiety attack before a big presentation isn't a weakness. It's a message that your mask is cracking and you're about to become more real. You can stop fighting yourself and finally start listening to yourself. This is the heart of individuation. It is a radical act of self-acceptance. From this place of wholeness, you can finally walk toward success, not as a fragmented soldier going into a battle against yourself, but as a king returning to his own kingdom. The fear might still be there, but it's no longer in charge. It's just a passenger in the car, and you are finally, for the first time, the one driving. In the end, you have to understand that the fear of success is the fear of your own power. It is the terror of discovering that you are bigger, more complex, and more capable than you ever let yourself believe. True success isn't about what you achieve. It's about becoming the person who can handle that achievement without breaking. This is a path of courage. It means leaving the comfort of who you've been for the uncertainty of who you are becoming. Most people won't choose this path. They'll stay in the same exhausting loop of wanting and destroying, calling it bad luck and wondering why they're not happy. But if you've listened this far, a part of you is already tired of that old story. A part of you is ready for the real journey to begin. The world does not need another successful person who is secretly broken and miserable inside. It needs you, whole and complete, with all your light and all your darkness integrated. This is the only success that matters. And for you, the real work is just getting started. Don't stop here. Keep going. See you in the next one.